Hi there, my name is Ollie Burns and I perform on wrestling shows as Priscilla, Queen of the Ring. And today we're going to be studying how to compare yourself with other trainees and wrestlers. Now, in the wrestling business there are a lot of people out there who we can see as competition. And it can really take a toll trying to compare yourself with other people, finding ways to give yourself a leg up on the competition so that you can gain extra bookings and get better spots on shows. There are many ways in which you can compare yourself to other people and look for ways to improve what you're offering. But today I'm going to give you a method which I have used over the years and I've found really takes away the pressure in terms of competing with everybody else, but at the same time gives you a really good opportunity to see ways that you can improve your game. Now this method is going to be split into two different parts. The first part is a way of looking at exactly what you're offering in the most pragmatic sense. The second portion is going to give you a method to use this skill to then compare yourself with other people so that you can find areas to improve on. So first things first, how do you really break down all the different portions of what you're bringing to a show? I like to split my work into three parts. The first part is my look. The second is my character. And thirdly, we're looking at wrestling ability. Now I split myself up because, first of all, your look is something that people see before they see anything else that you do. So if you think about it, when somebody first finds you on social media or sees you step out on the entrance, the first thing they see before anything else is how you look. Before you've even opened your mouth or taken your first step down the ramp, people will start to make impressions of you within their minds. So bear in mind that standalone, your look is very important. Now I'm not saying that you have to be the biggest, most muscular person in the world. You don't have to be the most attractive person in the world. However, your look needs to make an impression that really stands out and immediately makes people think that they need to give you their attention. Of course, I'm a drag queen, and over the years I've made efforts to improve my makeup and make sure that I have extra accoutrements that really stand out. Things like accessories, fake tits, all the shebang that is needed to get eyes on me. And I'm not saying that there is anything wrong with being a performer who's wearing black trunks and black boots. I'm just saying that your look needs to be one whole package that people can consume at first glance. The second portion is your character. So this is what happens when you start talking, when you start walking, the way you respond to people, the way you cut your promos. These are the things that people see before they have seen you lock up. Now it's worth bearing in mind that if your look doesn't strike a chord with people, then there is the risk that they will look away as you do your entrance. Similarly, if your entrance doesn't continue to hold people, they may not be as interested when the bell rings. I know a lot of people who look at your entrance as the first act in your wrestling match. And sure enough, whether you like it or not, the first thing that people are going to see is 2 or 3 minutes of you walking, talking, and then standing in the ring. So you've got to ask yourself, does your character stand out and does it attract attention? Just like with the look, I'm not saying that you need to be a gimmick, I'm not saying that you need to be an overblown personality, but what I am saying is you need to consider whether or not your character really draws attention, just like your look. The third area, which may take up the largest portion of the match and may be the thing that we concentrate on the most, is the wrestling. When you're looking at your wrestling, I'm not saying that you have to be a great technical performer. I'm not saying that you need to have all the flips, flops and Huda Cabanas. I'm just saying that does your wrestling grab people's attention? Does it keep people entertained? Does it tell the story that you are setting out to tell? So these three areas, look, character and wrestling, are three very separate areas, but they all complement each other. Does your look strike a chord so that then people are paying attention when you do your character work? And does your character work then keep people interested to the point that the bell rings so that they can see your wrestling? And then Does your wrestling entertain so that people feel like they're getting their money's worth when they're watching you perform? Of course, all these areas, they contrast, compare, and they complement each other throughout your performance. And it's not to say that just because you don't have a great look doesn't mean you can't have a great character. It's not to say that if your wrestling is phenomenal, it may grab people's attention when perhaps your personality or your look didn't initially. It's also not to say that just because someone has a great character doesn't mean that you're not putting on a better performance. It's just a way of looking at the different areas of what you offer and whether or not you're delivering the best you can in each one of these categories. Now, when it comes to comparing yourself to other people on the card or other people in your training school, it's a very easy method with which to do this. What I do is I get myself a Word document. I will then list myself along with maybe 10 other people, and I will try to rank people in each of these 3 areas based on how we compare to each other. The more realistic you are with this, the better it is for you in the long run. So don't be shy to be honest with yourself. If you think that you have a look that you've worked hard for, but if realistically there's another guy who's got some great gear and a great mask whose look does attract more attention, then it's okay to put them above you. At the end of the day, this process is there to help you look at ways to improve on what you're doing and offer a better service than the competitors you have around you. So try and be realistic when you rank people in order as to who has the most striking look. And then you can do the same with character. Again, I'm not saying that just because your character isn't the loudest or the most flamboyant doesn't mean that your character isn't necessarily better than some of these bigger personalities. But I'm saying that look at the way the audience responds. If they attract more attention through their character, then be realistic and put them above you on the list. And again, we do the same with the wrestling. And once more, I will stress that we're not saying who is the best technical wrestler, who is the best high flyer, or who is the wrestler that you find most entertaining. We're looking at the audience that is paying their money to come and see a wrestling show. Whose wrestling do they find most engaging? Rank yourselves in order so that you can see where you fit in with these other competitors. Once you've done this, you should have 3 clean lists ranking yourself and all of the other people that you compare yourself to in a nice, easy way that you can digest. If you want to take this a few steps further, what you can then do is give a point scoring system. So the people who appear at the top of the list get the highest amount of points, all the way down to the person who scores the lowest. A useful exercise would be then to tally up the scores from these 3 different lists and see overall who ranks in what order. Typically, when I do this, it brings out the worst in my insecurities, but at the same time, it also generally lines up with the people that get the biggest, loudest responses on the shows and the people who tend to get the biggest opportunities as well. Rather than worrying about how I can then be the person who is at the top of this list, what I then do is look at the person who's ranking just 1 spot higher than myself. I then go and compare myself to how me and that person ranked within these 3 separate lists. What I tend to find is that we rank very similarly, but they tend to have an area which they score much higher than myself. What I will start to do from this point is then look at the things that they are doing differently to me. That's not to say that just because a guy who has an undead gimmick is more over with his character than Priscilla is, that I'm then going to turn Priscilla into an undead zombie walking around in drag. But what I may do is then look at how they perform their character differently and see if there's anything I can learn from that and apply to my own character to bring my game higher. However that person scores better than me, I concentrate on their strongest area, which I lack in. I then try and take the tools and the lessons which they apply and then apply it to what I do myself. And if I'm really struggling, I will reach out to that person and say, I'm having trouble with A, B and C. Can you give me some advice that would apply to what I do so that I can then improve upon myself and bring a better performance to my shows? Rather than trying to compare myself to someone like Will Ospreay and try and beat what he does in one fell swoop, what this process allows me to do is concentrate on areas which I need to improve on, which he really nails. From there, I'm able to improve my game month after month, and maybe I'll never reach that kind of level, but at the same time, I can see myself delivering better and better work week on week, month on month, year on year. You will never be the best wrestler in the world. Even the best wrestler in the world thinks they're not as good as the other best wrestler in the world. But what this process will allow you to do is break down exactly what you can use to improve your particular game and make those steps to improve what you do and bring in better quality of work and better opportunities moving forwards. And you should find that over the course of a few months and a few years, the work you deliver is significantly better than the work you were delivering before, whereas plenty of other people who grind their heels in and concentrate on what they're already doing well will rarely go much further from where they were before. I think that this is a great way of breaking down exactly how I can improve myself without having to feel too self-conscious at the same time. It takes away the pressure of making myself think, oh, what are the things that I'm doing wrong? Instead, I'm looking at little ways I can improve myself and little lessons that I can learn from the people around me. I hope that this method is useful to you, but if you would like more information on how to deliver different character and how to deliver different forms of matches, then be sure to check out our other videos that cover these areas. And if you feel like there's any way to improve upon this method, please do leave a comment below, because then we can get the conversation going and involve each other and learn together. Thanks for studying with me today. I have been Ollie Burns. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button for regular content so that we can continue to study the theory of wrestling.